Hello, my name is Janetta, and today I will be presenting a diverse lesson plan themed melting pot and its ingredients as a part of social studies. The plan was designed for the second graders, and I chose this topic, melting pot and its ingredients, because our country is known for being a melting pot of all cultures. I thought it would be a good idea to present this concept to the second graders and help them realize that even though they may not know it, but each of them is coming from their own unique family with its own culture, customs, and traditions. My second grade is an inclusion class where we have 25 students, 3 of which are ESL students. Their first language is either Russian or Spanish, and there are 3 students with IEP. Again, one of them has a paraprofessional assigned to him, and the 2 other children have other disabilities, but they don't have a special person assigned to them during class time. I would start my lesson by referring back to the topic that we learned last week. And what we did last week, we learned about families and what families do together and how each family is alike and different from others. Last week, we looked at this chart. This chart is going to be put on the board under the projector, and it'll be enlarged so children can remember what they reviewed last week. If you look closely to the chart, we discussed last week what do families do, and each student was able to contribute by saying that we work together as a family, we celebrate together as a family, we live together, we love each other. And then the second portion of the chart is how families alike and how are they different. And we were talking about how each family has their clothing traditions or food traditions or language, and maybe some unique things that only this family does as part of something they've been doing for a number of years and became a family tradition. So based on this prior knowledge that children gained in the last week, we can now proceed and talk about what is culture. So the goal of my lesson is to really have students to understand that our country consists of different cultures, and each family, including their own, is an ingredient of the melting pot. I would start very simple by just introducing and showing the students a regular pot, and I would ask them to pretend that we're making a soup. And I would ask, what kind of ingredients do you put in the soup to make it taste good? And as they tell me different ingredients, I will put different ingredients, and I would use plastic or wooden foods for it to show how we make the soup. So we put carrots, we put different vegetables like celeries, broccolis, we put chicken into some soups. I have an eggplant here, more broccoli. And the idea would be to show, as we put all these ingredients and we make the soup is gonna come out to be really delicious. And I would compare this to our country, that's a melting pot, that's a big giant soup where we have all different ingredients, all different cultures that make our country so unique. And then I would proceed asking students if somebody knows who are the immigrants, because this is one of the vocabulary words that I'm trying to introduce today to my class. After children tried to give me the answer about who they think immigrant is, I would summarize as saying that immigrant is a person who comes from another country and who brings with them not only their family but their customs, their traditions, and this all gets passed on to their friends when they meet new people, to their neighbors, and we are able to learn from one another who we are. Then I would, as I'm talking about immigrants and I'm saying that they bring their own customs to our country, I would proceed and ask another question, what is a custom? And then I would try to see if my students can explain it. And after that discussion, I would summarize it by saying that custom is our tradition, is what we do with our families on like the holidays we celebrate, like the meals we have, something they grew up with. To reinforce that knowledge, I would then proceed to reading the book, which is called The Dumpling Soup. This book is about a 7-year-old girl who lives in Hawaii, and for New Year's, her whole family comes together to make dumplings and celebrate New Year's. This book is amazing in a sense that this girl's family consists of many different cultures. She has Chinese in her family, she has Japanese, she has Koreans, and she has Hawaiians. And even within the Hawaiians, there are 2 different types of Hawaiians that come to the celebration. They're all one big family, but they all bring something different to making dumplings. Each of them comes with their own recipe, with their own tools to make food, and at the end they have one huge celebration, like one big family. So this book is really, it's not a long book to read. It'll probably take, with the pauses and questions, about 10 minutes, but it really opens up children's mind to how within the same family we can have existence of many different cultures. So after this book, we would proceed to the next activity. And the next activity would be working in groups. So I would give the children the worksheet that's called Similarities and Differences. And I would ask them to work with their partner to interview their partner and find out what is it about their partner's family that's the same, that's similar to their own family, and what's different. And I would ask the students to write 4 or 5 descriptive words in each column about what they learned from their partner. I would give probably students about 10 minutes to do this exercise, because it does take a little bit of time to speak to a classmate and get the descriptions down. And then at the end, I would ask students to share with the class what they learned, which I think is important for everyone to hear, and I'm sure that it will bring new information about their classmates to the rest of the class, which should be an interesting experience. The next activity that would follow would be a different worksheet, but it would be based on the prior one. And this worksheet is called 3-2-1. What I would ask students to do, I would ask them to work from the worksheet they already completed and take the 3 most interesting facts they learned about their classmate. Once they summarize those 3 facts, I would ask them to write down questions that they may still have. This is a 2nd grade, so they're able to write, they may have still some difficulties, but they should be able to write some descriptive words and short sentences to express what they learned, to express the questions they still may have, and then the one opinion that they formed after they done this exercise, which could be, I have not known before, but now I know that Chinese people celebrate Chinese New Year. Something that's culture related, something that the knowledge that they have not had before, but they have now. So after they're done with this worksheet, I would again refer back to the Dumpling Soup book, which talks about New Year, and now it's, we are going into winter time, and we're gonna celebrate different winter holidays next month. But what a lot of young children don't understand is that not every family celebrates winter holidays the same way. And for that purpose, I prepared another activity, but before I go to another worksheet, I wanted to show children different holiday attributes and ask them what they are. For example, I would show them the Christmas tree, and they would tell me what it is and when do we celebrate it, what holidays attribute this is, when do we put up the Christmas tree, and who likes to decorate it. Then I would show them this hat, and I would say, who do you think this hat belongs to, and who is this person, and what it's called when it comes to visit us. Then I could show them, I believe it's a mistletoe, to again help them explain and raise their hand and tell them what they think it is. I would also show them attributes from different holidays like a dreidel and menorah, and if there are any Jewish children in class, I would invite them to tell me what these things are and what holidays they are associated with. And really, whatever other attributes of other winter holidays you have, you can use it to make the lesson more exciting, and to have children to start thinking and have a festive mood and get, there's a candy stick. So after that, I would introduce children to another worksheet that is called Winter Holidays By. And I would tell them to write their name and color and circle those holiday attributes that familiar to them. That's, I would tell them, what do you see during winter holidays in your home? And do you celebrate with these attributes? And I would invite them to color and circle the attributes that are familiar to them, that they know what they are. So that would bring me to, if time allows, I would also ask them to write a short paragraph about one of these attributes, but if not, that could be offered for the homework, a short paragraph about one of the images they see on the worksheet. So that pretty much probably gonna take most of my lesson. Another activity that I can practice with my students at the lesson closure would be to tell that not only holidays or foods define our culture, but also it could be the music, the art, different things we do as a family. If time allows, I would also offer to children to complete this other worksheet which I created, and this is foods from around the world. And again, it kind of refers back to the dumpling soup book and to the fact that each family has their may have their unique meals that they prepare at home. Now, the way that I organized this worksheet is that I took pictures of the real foods, and instead of saying the country name, I also included country flags. But next to the country flag, if you can see, there are a country name. So this way, this worksheet kind of serves two purposes. The children can learn where maybe they already know which food came from which country, but they also kind of get a peek into how different countries' flags look like. So some of these matching would be very easy, like pizza will be probably matched to the Italy, but things like, let's say, fish and chips, not every second grader will know that this is coming from the United Kingdom. So there will be definitely some information here that they already know, and there will be some new information. In terms of assessment, I will try to do the informal assessment throughout the lesson. As children go through the worksheets and they complete them, I will make sure that they're on the right track. I will see whether they're understanding what we are learning. For the ESL students, I will definitely try to prepare for the class by providing, for example, on this worksheet, I would write the country names in their language, so they know what they mean. In the worksheet, like family, I would also have translations to Russian or Spanish, so they understand what we are learning and they can relate and provide their responses as well. For students who have IEPs, if they have a paraprofessional, I will make sure the student is following the lesson and on the same page with everybody else. Even if the paraprofessional has to take some extra time and explain what's going on. So after the matching worksheet complete, I will ask one of the students to just present it to us, and we can, as a group, go through the activity and what we did. And for the homework, I will just ask students to speak to their families, to speak to their parents and grandparents, because most of the children were raised by their first language speakers. So for example, we all have grandparents or parents who probably came to this country as immigrants, and a lot of people heard or have been exposed to their native language, the first language at home. So I will ask students to speak with their parents and grandparents and come back to class, maybe reciting a poem in their first language, or singing a little song, or maybe counting until 5 or 10 in another language, so we can all again get together and appreciate the difference of all cultures and how we can learn from each other. Thank you.